ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. In the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most precious thing is Iman. Nothing is more valuable, important, crucial than Iman. Because Iman is what connects a person, a human being, to the realities of the universe. And a person who is deprived of Iman is in fact disconnected from the realities of the universe. This person is disconnected from their origin, where they're coming from, and their destination, where they're headed. And this person is oblivious of who put them here. So many darknesses, so many gaps, and such a lack of understanding about life. So Iman is the most essential and crucial thing. This is why in Surah Al-Kahf you find stories of Iman, people of Iman, and people who countered Iman, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps the people of Iman. This is the gist of the story of Ashab al-Kahf. These were some youngsters who were not prophets, they were not companions of any prophet, they were the followers. And when they saw that there is no environment of practicing their deen, in fact, they would be persecuted for practicing their deen, for believing in one Allah, and not submitting to the king and the king's religion, which was basically idol worship, or taking the king also as almost like a god figure. So they decided that the only way out of this is to escape. So these boys one night, they escaped. And the reason why they escaped is because news had spread that these boys are believers, and they do not subscribe to the religion of the king, which was the official religion of that kingdom. And when they were called, they were apprehended, arrested, and brought to the king. And they were told to answer, speak to this. What are these rumors that people are saying? So at that moment, they decided to take a stand for themselves. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions their stand. Literally, إِذْ قَامُوا فَقَالُوا رَبُّنَا رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. They stood up and they said that our Lord, the one whom we take as Lord, is the one who is the Lord of the entire universe. Not the Lord of a country or the Lord of a city or a state. No, our Lord is the master of the heavens and the earth. And we will not take anyone else as a God. لَن نَدْعُوَ مِن دُونِهِ إِلَهًا. We will not. لَقَدْ قُلْنَا إِذًا شَطَطًا. To do so is foolishness. So they are uttering the truth in front of a person who has the complete authority to take their lives away. And in one hadith it's mentioned that the best form of jihad is kalimatu haqqin 'inda sultanin ja'ir. To say the word of haqq in front of a person of authority who is an oppressor. To say haqq in front of that person is one of the greatest forms of jihad. That's what these boys did. So the king kind of shrugged them off and he said, you're just boys, you don't know what you're saying. I'm going to give you one night to think about this. And if you come around and by tomorrow you denounce all of this faith and this message, then you'll be okay, I will let you live, I'm not going to do anything, you're just kids. But if you refuse, then you will be killed. So that's when they decided that the only way now to protect their Iman was to leave. Because they felt that if we don't, then either we will be killed or we will be tortured until we are made to leave our faith. So they left, and this incident took place in what is today called the city of Amman in Jordan. So they left and they covered as much distance as they could until they found a cave and they fell asleep. And in the meantime, people start looking for them. The king realizes that these boys are not coming to report back to him. So he sends out all of these search parties and they start looking and looking. And unbeknownst to the boys, all of this is happening in the world around them, but they are fast asleep. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the arrangements that He made for these boys, and they had absolutely no idea that this is happening. They're in a deep slumber. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is protecting that cave, not allowing anyone to enter into that cave. لَوْ اطَّلَعْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ لَوَلَّيْتَ مِنْهُمْ فِرَارًا وَلَمُلِئْتَ مِنْهُمْ رُعْبًا. There is this kind of a force field of protection that no one can come in. If anyone were to get close to it, they would be so frightened that they'd go running. And وَتَحْسَبُهُمْ أَيْقَاظًا وَهُمْ رُقُودٌ. They are asleep, but their eyes are open. If somebody were to look at them, they would think that, oh, these are awake. And وَنُقَلِّبُهُمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ وَذَاتَ الشِّمَالِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had them turn from side to side, from side to side. Why? Because they were going to lie there for a few centuries. Of course, the elements of the ground would have started decomposing and eating away at their flesh. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made arrangement for them that they keep changing from side to side. And their dog is also there. The dog is there with his hands spread out at the mouth of this cave. And even so as to not disturb their sleep, and we have some physicians here, they'll tell you about the importance of melatonin. And this is a hormone that's released by your pineal gland. And this is what actually enables your body to rejuvenate in its sleep. And one of the things that disrupts the production of melatonin is light. Any form of light, if it strikes your body directly, that pineal gland switches off. Anyway, I'm not saying that's why this arrangement was made, but I'm telling you there are so many wisdoms in this. The bottom line is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not want their sleep to be disturbed. So the way the sun rose, it would cut across. It would not, even though the sun is rising basically right in front of this cave. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having the rays of the light go this side when it's rising, go that side when it's setting. No direct light is entering. It's completely dark. All these arrangements for just a group of boys who are firm on their Iman. And one wonders that how merciful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, that He puts such a huge, massive, extensive system to work just for these boys. Our youngsters often don't realize their own value, how valuable, how precious they are in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what kind of system they would have at their disposal if only they prove themselves to be true to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those that step into that field of Iman and are prepared to do whatever it takes to guard that Iman, Allah Azza wa Jal does protect them. So, everyone in their own life circumstances needs to do whatever it takes to protect their Iman. Ideally, you do it within the environment that you have to live in. But sometimes even within that environment, you have to find a cave that you can go to for protection. Because if you allow yourself to be openly exposed to everything and anything that crosses your path, then you're chipping away at your own Iman. You're allowing your own Iman to erode. And this Iman, like the hadith says, this Iman starts fading away like the design on a cloth. In one hadith it's mentioned that يَخْلَقُ كَمَا يَخْلَقُ الثَّوْبِ. This Iman starts getting worn out like a cloth gets worn out. In another hadith it's mentioned like the design of a cloth, it eventually gets worn out. Just like that, Iman starts getting worn out. The Prophet ﷺ tells us to keep reviving this Iman, to keep strengthening this Iman. If we're going through the motions of life and we are not regularly refreshing and strengthening, rejuvenating, repowering, regenerating our Iman, it's going to get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. So this is why the Sahaba radiallahu anhum would sit down and say, let us refresh our Iman. Let's have a gathering of Iman. The Prophet ﷺ is telling the Sahaba, Jaddidu imanakum, refresh your Iman. How? How should we refresh our Iman? Qulu la ilaha illallah. Say la ilaha illallah. Now, this Iman is being protected and such a huge price is being paid and such A massive, extensive system is put to work for these people. This story is not being told to the people of the cave. This story is being told to the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that look what people have done for safeguarding their iman, and look what I have done for them. This is the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's the most beloved ummah to Allah Azza wa Jal. So what will happen if we start engaging with this iman and safeguarding it with whatever it takes? When we start making that effort, then we will see the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from above, from beneath, from all sides. And Allah Azza wa Jal has promised us, He has promised us honor and respect only if we uphold our iman. وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Izzah, honor, nobility, love in the hearts of mankind, it's reserved for us when we have iman. And help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, assistance of Allah is with us if we have iman. وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. If you have iman, you will always rise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. So when we see ourselves not rising, when we see ourselves not in a position of respect, when we see ourselves lacking that love, not commanding that respect in the eyes of mankind, it means we collectively, and we are all one body. It's not the deeds of one or two people that are going to change everything. It's the deeds of the masses. We are all one body. It means the body is weak. The body is weak, the body is suffering, the immune system is compromised, it's susceptible to viruses and bacteria and disease, and there are parts of it, there are organs of it that are not functioning. And until the organs begin to function, this body is not going to get up and stand. So iman, the effort of iman, safeguarding our iman, and there are little challenges to iman every day in our lives. Every time something haram comes in front of us, on our devices, on the screen, on the street, on the billboard, that's a small test of iman. Every time we have the opportunity to make a few dollars by being a little bit dishonest or covering up things, that's a little test of iman. Every time we sit in a gathering where people are saying wrong things about deen, it's a test of our iman. Every time we're exposed to environments where we are being pulled away from our religious values, it's a test of iman. Every day we are going through these little battles. Every single day. At home, at work, in our social circles, throughout life. But what effort are we making? How dearly are we holding on to that iman? That I will let anything go, but I'm not going to let my iman go. When iman becomes the most precious commodity to a believer, that's when he sees the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are some of the precious lessons that Surah Al-Kahf is giving us. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us the value of this iman. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the love of iman in our hearts. Even the love of iman is necessary. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking to the Sahaba, وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْإِيمَانِ. Allah made your iman beloved to you. وَزَيَّنَهُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. He made it very attractive, very appealing to you. It became زَيَّنَهُ. It became the most beautiful things in your hearts. Of all the things that you see and that you have, iman became the most beautiful. وَكَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكُفْرَ وَالْفُسُوقَ وَالْعِصْيَانَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put inside your hearts the despise, the hatred, the abhorrence for disbelief, for open acts of disobedience, and for any act that goes against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do this for us as He did it for the Sahaba, and enable us to also protect and safeguard our iman, and enable our youth also to safeguard their iman, just like Ashabul Kahf did, and they succeeded. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Allah